She-Ra and the Princesses of Power is the newest Netflix original. Except, not really. It's actually a reboot of the 1980s cartoon She-Ra and the... oh, no, it's just She-Ra. It has many of the same characters, settings, and story beats of the original, but has been modernized for a younger audience. I don't know why I put quotation marks around that. I'm not quoting anyone. She-Ra and the Princess of Power sparked controversy from the moment it was released. From the moment it was announced. And that reveal of you-know-what was released, and oh boy, don't worry, I'll get to that in a second. Questions of why this iconic property was being touched after over a decade of nothing, and why was some chick named Noelle Stevenson spearheading the thing. Surely this proud homosexual would taint the legacy of She-Ra. That's what they always do. So, yeah, this is not a good shot, and it does make She-Ra look like a boy, low-key, or high-key, low-key. Not that a masculine female is problematic in itself, but when you already have people worried that a character is going to be bastardized and you turn this into this, you aren't easing them into it. If they had simply released shots of Adora, who is more or less just a younger looking version of her original design, I think a lot of the accusations of them intentionally rejecting femininity wouldn't have happened. And, actually no, we're gonna talk about this for a second. I understand the people claiming She-Ra looks like a dude. Her design is pretty masculine and a huge departure from how the original She-Ra looked. Pointing this fact out doesn't make you sexist or offensive. It just means you have eyes. It would be akin to them rebooting Voltron, a legendary defender, 10 years from now, but they make Pidge a boy again. And not a trans boy, but a cis boy. I bet you all would be kind of off-put by that now, wouldn't you? The problem with a lot of people who took issue with the redesign was that they weren't just using it to talk about She-Ra, they were using this as a chance to talk about women as a whole. And I might not be a rocket scientist, but to claim that having masculine features doesn't make you a woman is not true? It's not even a little true. Even if we adhere by the trans women aren't actual women belief that some people have, I know plenty of masculine women with 2 X chromosomes. If you had paid attention during the extensive lecture I gave about the ovaries at the start of the video, you would remember me mentioning that all this to say that in some cases, women will have more masculine features. Something that a lot of people chose to ignore when they decided to make this about femininity. And you see, you're allowed to find masculine women attractive. No one's saying you can't. But when you use the terms that these people were using, you kind of sound like a prick. And hey, if you want to tell someone who has very little control over their own biology that they can't be a woman because they don't look like one, okay. Have fun with that. As I said, there were claims that Noelle Stevenson specifically had some weird gripe with femininity and was using She-Ra as a means to forward some anti-feminine agenda. They pointed to a graphic novel, Lumberjanes, as evidence of this because a lot of characters in that aren't very feminine in their appearance. Like Ripley. This one. I mean, she's kind of thick. I forgot their name, but it should be on the screen if I'm not too lazy about this. Anywho, this smug lady right here who said... Actually, let me play it for all you kiddies at home.
The San Diego Comic-Con issue of Entertainment Weekly revealed She-Ra's costume on July 16th, which is a, quote, cute twist on the original. I wouldn't really call it cute, I would call it mannish. What happened to strong feminine powers? There are powerful, successful women who are also beautiful. Beauty should not be taken away. Where is the female empowerment? Why is it empowering to take away femininity? There is nothing wrong with beauty. They are working with DreamWorks to produce the series with showrunner Noelle Stevenson, creator of the comic Lumberjanes. Did you notice that? Lumberjanes. Seems a bit butch, don't you think?
Yep, it is pretty butch. It's the butchiest butch title that ever butched, but If we consider the setting of the book, which is a camp in the middle of the woods, I'm actually surprised they have women at it at all, because there aren't very many kitchens out there. It takes a certain type of woman to rebel against your cleaning, cooking instincts to ever make it that far into the wilderness. And if anyone was wondering, yes, I am sexist. But it actually is not that bad of a book, and does have a very feminine looking character who must have slipped into the camp while Noelle's back was turned. I can't fault anyone for jumping to conclusions or conspiracy theories that the media is trying to demonize femininity. I mean, have you seen Steven Universe? The only saving grace of that show is Pearl. She likes to clean, she plays the violin, she's dainty, she's submissive. If it weren't for the fact that she wore a tuxedo that one time, we'd have ourselves a great role model for the young laddles out there. But she's still pretty good for what she had, huh? Oh. Again? Okay, So my sources tell me that Pearl has actually worn the tuxedo twice now. So yeah, there are no feminine characters in Steven Universe, and Rebecca Sugar is super gross. Moving on. I shouldn't have to point this out, but no, femininity isn't dying. Of course, my understanding of femininity is vastly different from your average Joe, but if it is to my understanding, this is their definition of femininity, right? Look at it. How it glimmers. When they weren't talking about what it meant to be a woman, they were busy kissing up to 1980 She-Ra, touting her as some symbol of pride to women, something that taught them how to respect women. Now, I am a fan of the original She-Ra, and I don't remember the show being about respecting women. In fact, I actually remember a few times at the start of the show where Adam, aka He-Man, would say some unsavory things about the women of the evil horde. Which, as a man, he has the right to do, but he did say something along the lines of, "You're not very ladylike," because they were unattractive, I guess? I was actually going to say that the people claiming they learned how to value women from She-Ra didn't actually watch the show, but now that I think about it, they most certainly did. Jokes aside, this show isn't aiming to teach you about respecting women. She-Ra's design was not aiming to be this female empowerment thing. The creator said as much, and if you don't respect the creator, then you don't know what you are. What 1980 She-Ra was a spin-off of He-Man, aimed at girls and meant to sell toys. The reason all the females have basically the same bodies with only different hair and outfits is because it's easier to make toys of it. I like the original She-Ra, and although a few changes didn't have to happen, like changing Bo's race, or changing the ages of the characters, or changing She-Ra's design, or even them changing the art style, but none of these changes necessarily reflect on the quality of the show. Maybe it did suggest what the art quality of the show would be like, and if you thought it was going to be bad, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's a travesty, but it doesn't speak for the show's writing quality. To those people who responded to every person who complained about the new designs by jumping straight past butthurt to "you're a man baby," who has said that they can't masturbate She-Ra, you're stupid. Very, very stupid. She-Ra's old design was good, and although the skirt made it look like you could see everything down there, it was still a pretty solid design that matched the other character designs in the show, as well as followed the popular design twins of the 80s. It made her look like some type of Roman soldier crossed with a Greek goddess or something. Very nice. And though everyone knows she was hot back then, this doesn't mean everyone who disliked the new show must be male and must be butthurt that they can't masturbate to her anymore. You stupid, stupid child. Why did I write that into the script? And I hope that every person accused of being a pedophile responded with the text you see on the screen. Labeling every person as a neckbeard, pedophile, homophobe, sexist who is mad She-Ra doesn't have tits is really dumb, and it makes people like me, who were looking forward to She-Ra, look like morons who don't know how to form an argument. Also, you shut down any chance of having a rational discussion, which is bad for other people or whatever. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Let me try. I can do a stupid tweet too. The self-identifying He-Man crying over the new show She-Ra is giving me life. It's not for you. Wait, that's an actual tweet? Someone actually thought they were justified in saying that? Oh, you guys are silly. It's not for you? What does that mean? Or better yet, what doesn't that mean? Because right now it kind of seems a little sexist and ageist and she-racist. The Quartering had a point, which is something that occasionally happens in his videos. He pointed out that whenever someone was overly negative about SATPOP, which is what we're calling it now, I don't make the rules, someone would say that it's not for them, usually meaning that they're too old to be complaining about She-Ra. But when She-Ra was finally released, it seemed like a bunch of adults came out of the woodwork praising it on Twitter. How could this be if the show isn't for them? People who say it's not for you, or whether they know it or not, they're just using it as a way to protect the show from criticism. Although obviously not every criticism She-Ra received was legitimate, it still doesn't need people using exclusionary statements like that to protect it. There were also a bunch of people on Twitter praising the show for its gay representation, and someone said something like, "The gays are winning." And I saw another one that said, "If you're straight, you can't watch She-Ra," and yes, they do make the rules. Now, unlike the Quartering, I have a thicker skin to statements like this. Yes, even the latter of the two, even though the person is sort of a prick for saying that, mostly because I understand that they are just really happy they're getting more representation. The way they go about it may be a little rude or alienating, but none of that is emblematic of the TBGL community as a whole. The Quartering also pointed out that before SATPOP was released and people like him were claiming that the show would have a gay agenda, they were met with people saying that no, this show would be about defeating the evil horde. It wouldn't be about gay things. And so when the Quartering sees all these people celebrating the gay stuff they noticed in SATPOP, he immediately pointed out the hypocrisy. But no, this isn't hypocritical because nothing has changed. The show isn't about gay politics. It isn't pausing the story to do gay stuff. Every intimate moment between female characters, which they're like hand holding, oh no, she's on her shoulder, oh no, oh no, hasn't overstayed its welcome. Even the dance between Catra and Adora served its purpose in the plot of the episode. The people who blow these moments out of proportion are doing just that, blowing them out of proportion. If these moments were actually as big as they make them out to be, the Quartering wouldn't have just gone to Twitter to showcase the show's gay agenda. It would have actually shown examples from the episodes in question. The people that say things like, "Everyone is gay," do so because they've been so starved for representation that they lose their minds at the very suggestion of a gay character. Admittedly, it's pretty annoying, but it kind of happens in almost every fandom nowadays, and probably wouldn't happen as much if there were more characters like that in cartoon shows. That isn't me advocating for more gay characters. I'm just explaining why stuff like this happens and how, if you wanted, you could fix it. But then you'd be supporting a gay agenda. Now would you look at that? This show isn't specifically for anyone. I mean, yes, its target demographic is young girls, but everyone is allowed to watch it, enjoy it, hate it, love it, critique it, praise it. It's a cartoon, not a teething toy. There shouldn't be people saying things like, "It's not for you." Look, I've spent this entire video talking about the buzz surrounding She-Ra, but I really need to talk about the people who defended the show with straw man arguments. And if you don't know which arguments I'm talking about arguments like the pedophile one, or the "it's not for you" one, or the "you can't masturbate to this" one. Stop using those, because they aren't helping you. They're just helping people like the Quartering who thrive off of straw man arguments like these. The more straw mans you throw at them, the more they can point to them and say, "Look at those desperate SJWs, aren't they just ridiculous?" It makes them willingly ignore actual arguments to instead focus on these stupid ones so they don't have to put actual thought into tearing arguments apart. People like them don't put effort into diving deep into subjects, and they wouldn't be so successful while putting the bare minimum into their content if people didn't give them material to work with. You aren't winning, you're playing right into their hands, and worst of all, you make smucks like me look bad, and that's all that matters. SATPOP isn't perfect. Noelle Stevenson isn't perfect. But making Bo black, making Glimmer and Spinnerella thick, and making She-Ra masculine says nothing about the show's writing quality, which is the meat and bones of the show. And if you aren't interested in actually taking the time to see what She-Ra has to offer, and instead would rather just scroll through Twitter and debate with some randos, then you aren't really concerned about whether or not the legacy of She-Ra has been tarnished. You're just making it political.